morning, beloveds. I don't think that... Okay. We're going to cross our fingers that the camera angle is going to stay. And if it doesn't, well, then it is what it is. We'll just deal with it when we deal with it. The boys are in here playing with their ball track and the newspaper. So if you hear noise, that's what you're hearing. If you don't hear noise, that's okay. But I listened to one of the other videos and you can definitely hear it. So one of them is laying on one side and the other one's laying on the other side. So they're pushing the ball back and forth between them. It's really kind of funny. But my heart is really happy this morning because Dante and Chico were playing. They were doing kind of a slap fight wrestle thing. And it was tentative, but it was happening. And that's what, we got the kittens as much for us as we did for basically Chico. I'm not sure Sugar cared. But Chico used to wrestle with Foster. And Foster was one of the ones that we lost right before Easter. In fact, Good Friday. And he would wrestle with everybody. And I think Chico missed that. And I think Chico needs that. And so it happened today. It happened twice. I'm so very excited and very happy and thrilled. Because, yay! Chico has a wrestling, buddy. Now, Gio keeps attacking Sugar, and Sugar is not having it, so I don't know how that's going to go, but maybe she'll respond and play with them, and maybe she won't. I don't know. Gio's the smaller of the two, so, Sugar's more his size, and Dante's more Chico's size, so I think that's, I don't know. But, yeah. Okay. All right. But that's neither here nor there. You're just getting a kitten update because I'm super excited about it. We're doing Living the Science of Mind. And so let's do the housekeeping. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. They're getting noisier by the minute. With the email, you get one email a week. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot. Click here now. Writes the information on the person and help you get it. And then it's a blind CC, so nobody's going to see your email. So you don't have to worry about anybody else getting your email from us. So hopefully you will think that is worth doing. They now have the paper spread across the ball track. And one of them's on each side. So, yeah. They're noisy. But it's what I wanted. My house had been too quiet. They don't talk quite as much as Gabby, but they're getting there. They're getting there. All right. Now, social media. Need to mention the social media really quick. The reason for mentioning the social media is to let you know that hang on. We don't monetize. Why is that important? We're not asking you to give them money, which means they're not there. We need you to help bump us in the algorithms. That's it. So please follow, and subscribe based on which platform you're on, and then engage with the individual posts. React to the post, comment on the post, share the posts. Bumps us in the algorithm, more people see our stuff, And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. And I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I'm on. So, there's that. Okay. Now, I've started calling this the FAQ, Frequently Asked Questions. Because all of the essays, except for 2, came out of the, the at-home course, which I think came out of people asking Ernest questions. They would read the textbooks, they would come to the lectures, and they would have questions. This answers a whole lot of those questions. So I think this is an FAQ. They also call it his commentary on his seminal work, the Science of Mind text. Yeah, frequently asked questions. And if you are interested in the Tag Home course, because they did finally bind it it took 6 books because it was 48 lessons. I think it's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, because I was looking at it last night. Go to the Science of Mind archives and use their Amazon link for two reasons. One, then there's a bunch of great books on the archives, but if you use their Amazon link, then some of the money goes back to the archives, which is supporting a really great thing. So please do that. All right. And today we are going to deal with insecurity. That's literally the title. So, which kittens do not have any. So, hey, it's super noisy in here because of that. And I unintentionally just got their attention. All right, insecurity. It is believed that there are 4 subjective or unconscious components underlying the insecurity and anxiety complex. In order to understand this, let's go back to the idea that the ego must not be rejected. When the infant or the adult suffers from an unconscious sense of being rejected or not wanted, needed, or loved, they unconsciously receive the impression that there must be something wrong with them. Without the objective faculties being aware of it, they argue themselves somewhat after this manner. Nobody likes me. Nobody wants me around. I am in everyone's way. There must be something wrong with me, or this wouldn't happen. Therefore, they developed an unconscious sense of guilt and self-condemnation. But nature has provided a certain process of the mind which seeks to protect the ego, keep this inward feeling covered so that it never gets to the surface. For most of our inner conflicts are never brought to the light of day. If they were, they would cease to exist. Okay, he's eating and he's got his butt in the water dish. What? Sorry, that was kind of pretty inappropriate comment there, but I'm just like, I look up and I was like, what? Okay, for most of our inner conflicts would never be brought to the light of the day. If they were, they would cease to exist. Okay. From this sense of not being wanted, needed, or loved, and this unconscious sense of guilt and self-condemnation, which is not permitted to come to the surface because the ego must not reject itself, there comes a sense of insecurity, a feeling of I'm not safe anywhere, I don't fit anywhere, everything about me is wrong. And out of this sense of rejection or guilt and insecurity, a feeling of anxiety is generated. Well, yeah, you think? By the way, I was talking about kittens, when I made the comment about the water. So, sorry. You can easily prove this for yourself by talking with people who have a continuous anxiety complex. There never seems to be any specific reason for this feeling. They cannot put their finger on some point of experience and say, this is it. Rather, the inward conflict, seeking release from its tensions, projects the anxiety first into one situation, then another, as though it were a searchlight seeking out an object for itself. It does this to get rid of tensions, for inward conflicts are the result of the outpush of the desires for self-expression, which has been crowded back upon itself through repression. Okay, that was a mouthful. What? Okay, let's see. Inward conflicts are the result of the outpush of the desire for self-expression, which has been crowded back upon itself through repression. In other words, not being who you are, I think. Since the ego must not be rejected because it would lose its self-esteem if it were, a certain mechanism of the mind pushes the stream of desire back into the mind. The conflict is between the desire for self-expression and the repression which shoves it back into the unconscious where the conflict is silently going on. I'm not sure about this, but okay, well, we're going to keep reading. This is a simple and altogether too brief explanation of the nature of our inner conflicts. Yes, it is. But yet, as simple as it is fundamental. You will notice in any book you may read on the subject that some reference is made to these few simple facts. In psychiatry and analysis, and in most psychological counseling, the purpose is to uncover these inner conflicts and cause them to come to the light of day, where they will be self-seen and understood, on the theory that when they are self-seen, they will disappear. That is, we shall understand why we feel as we do and why we need not feel that way. Okay? Ooh, I've been in therapy enough. I don't know. Right now, I'm not. I think possibly he's oversimplifying it, but there is that idea of self-expression. And when we cannot be ourselves, when we are forced to fit into molds or wear masks, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. Okay. This process is cumbersome, time-consuming, and therefore expensive. However, it is scientific, and the techniques for exposing the inner conflicts, when successfully used, should and often do completely relieve the pressure and thus rehabilitate the individual, causing them to be a normal, happy, and spontaneous person. Now, I will point out to you here that for a lot of people, this is the case. There are other people, I have been there, where our brain chemistry is literally not right. We don't have enough hormones, or we have too many hormones, because there's serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. And a deficiency in any of those definitely goes a long way to creating a lot of that anxiety. So sometimes what you need is medical intervention to get those hormones back into a natural balance. And that will go a long way too. So therapy is wonderful, but occasionally prescriptions are necessary. So don't be afraid to take the antidepressants. They really can help. I am a poster child for that. Honestly, I can say that if I had not taken the antidepressant for 2 years, I would not be here. So, okay. But we believe there's more to it than this. Humanity is rooted in pure spirit. They are some part of it. They are an incarnation of God, and no matter what their inward conflicts may be or what may have occasioned them, there is a way for them to get complete clearance from them without the elaborate process of analysis. If they could forgive themselves for all the mistakes they may have made, if they could get a clearance in their mind from the fear that there is some God condemning them, that some terrific evil awaits them hereafter, they would get complete relief. And yeah, again, I'm going to go back to the Terry Pratchett quote about shooting the missionaries on sight. You know, if there's not somebody telling you that somebody, meaning a lot of the major religions, telling you that you were born in sin and that unless you give a whole lot of money to the church, you're going to go to hell, there is that. This is one of the salutary purposes of the confessional, and perhaps this is why Jesus so frequently told people that their sins were forgiven them. If it is true that at the core of every neurosis there is a sense of being rejected, attended by a consciousness of guilt from which arises a feeling of insecurity and an attitude of anxiety, why could not we, with our method, get a complete clearance by attacking these four fundamental native attitudes and silently assuring ourselves that there is nothing in the universe that holds anything against us? And see, that right there is probably the most important thing. There's nothing in the universe that holds anything against us. That's when I could never buy that judgmental God. I just couldn't. And I think that has made me a healthier person for that. We have not done anything so terribly bad after all. Why should we feel insecure in the universe in which we live and have any anxiety if our whole confidence is placed in God or good? This brings us right back to the fundamental proposition upon which our whole thought is based. God is one, God is good. God wills only good. God is right where we are. God is within us and around us. If self-condemnation is an unconscious thing, and as a result of it, we protect ourselves from inward conflicts by projecting condemnations to others, then it would follow that if we could relieve the tension of the burden of guilt and condemnation from our own unconscious thinking, we should no longer project it towards others. Perhaps this seems too simple to be true, but great truths are simple, and the most effective methods are the most direct ones. The starting point for a clearance of the inward burdens that are too heavy to bear and the conflicts that tear so many people apart is to get a clearance in our own mind about ourselves and our relationship with God. All right. Some might think that this is why hang on. Some might think that this is a way whereby one excuses oneself for wrongdoing. Nothing could be further from the truth. For while the sense of condemnation for others remains, one has not reached a clearance in one's own mind. A consciousness of love would be the basis for the assurance we need, a feeling that divine love gives itself, that we give of ourselves, and that there is nothing in us that can project anything but love and peace and joy to others. It has been my experience that whenever an individual arrives at complete self-forgiveness, while also understanding that any cause they set in motion towards others will react upon themselves, they have reached a place where their judgments are no longer harsh. This is one I'm going to have to go away and think about. Honest to God, I'm just going to have to go away and think about it. They become a kind and lovable person. They have peace within their own mind. There can be no peace until this clearance is made. In one of the great books of wisdom of the East, it says that the self must raise the self by the self. There is no other way, for the blind cannot lead the blind. There must be a seeing eye. Now, one of the things about forgiveness, and here's the thing about forgiveness work, because forgiveness work is always weird. And I get it. When you forgive others, you don't ever have to tell the other person that you have forgiven them. You don't ever have to give them access to you again. What you are because holding on to that is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, which is a quote from a saying attributed to Buddha, or holding on to a hot coal and expecting the other person to burn. When you hold on to that anger of being wronged by another. So the point of self-forgiveness is to give you peace. You don't ever have to let the other person know that you've forgiven them. You don't ever have to engage with the other person again. You don't ever have to see them again. It's simply about giving you peace. That's what he's talking about here. Self-forgiveness, same thing. And it's not about letting yourself get away with things. It's like if you're going to, because you don't want to do it again, because then you just have to go through the self-forgiveness again. So it's like, okay, I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to do that anymore. Then I don't have to forgive myself again. Make sense? I hope so. All right. Not only can you do this for yourself, but you can do it for others by using the same method. The only difference between treating yourself and others is that when treating yourself, you say, this is the truth about me, while when treating others, you say, this is the truth about them. Forgiving and being forgiven, loving and being loved, living and letting live is a simple basis for all. Just be yourself in God. Just be simple and spontaneous. Just live as though today is God's day and you may rejoice in it. And that line right there, just be yourself in God. Just be yourself in God. I would like to make this further suggestion for your careful consideration. Is it not possible that the belief in a devil or devils in a future state of judgment from which one must shrink in horror, are themselves a result of projecting our own unredeemed lives unto the universe. Judging God by our own misfortunes. Oh my goodness. Judging God by our own misfortunes, our own lacks, our own fears, doubts, and uncertainties. It is my belief that the unconscious imagination of humanity has made this projection, for there can be nothing to fear from God. Humanity's problems are within themselves alone, and to themselves alone, and from themselves alone. Suffering was not designed by the all-creative wisdom. There is still another reflection that must be made. Jesus said, "Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again." Matthew 7:1-2. Is this not a veiled statement of the immutable law of cause and effect from which we cannot hope to escape? This is not an easy philosophy. This is not an easy philosophy. It is a simple philosophy, but it is not an easy philosophy. Okay, this is not an easy philosophy. It is the toughest that ever confronted the mind and imagination of humanity. Many people may be under the mistaken concept that the metaphysical philosophy is attractive to people because it says God is good and everything is all right. Therefore, there is nothing to fear. This is far from the truth. What it says is this: do you wish to be loved? Then stop hating. Do you wish to be happy? Then be sure that you are never the occasion for unhappiness in others. Do you wish to stop shedding tears? Then be sure that you are never the instrument which causes others to shed them. Am I certain there is nothing in me which can hurt anyone? Then as surely as God is God and justice is justice, nothing can harm me. But the harm I would do to another, I myself must suffer. Only from a cleansing of the self comes redemption. All right. I was not with him in the beginning. I had to think about it. But I get it. I get where he's going. I get where he's coming from. And that is the truth. What we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. So, if we want to be happy, then don't be the occasion of unhappiness in others. If we don't want to cry, don't be the reason somebody else cries. Yeah, I think that was an amazing ending, and I commend him for it. And yeah, this is not an easy philosophy. If it was, everybody would do it. It is a simple philosophy, but it is not an easy one because it requires us to do our own work. It requires us to work on ourselves. And as we become better, then we up-level everyone around us. So here we are. All right, beloveds. Oh, it's a lot. So there we are. And I am going to wrap this up, and I'm going to remind you, I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a drink plenty of water day, a stay out of the sun between 10 and 2 day. I heard it's going to be 98 degrees today, so be aware of the heat day, a take care of yourself day, a you got this day, a let's get this week started off on the right foot or the left foot, whichever one you prefer, but you know what I mean. A good day. And if that is too much pressure, and it's a Monday, I get it. Sometimes it is. Simply have a day. You are enough. Just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. Your spirit in motion, God in action. A beautiful masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. A brilliant light. Oh, at your own pace. A brilliant light and a divine spark. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right? Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be because the divine knows you to be good. From there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm simply going to remind you, Reverend Day. Oh, yeah. Did I say explore the truth of your being? Get to know who God knows you to be? Because from there, anything's possible. Yeah, I think I did. I'm just going to remind you that Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. I think we're going to tackle regression tomorrow. So take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next time.